At this time, we want to make a basic main menu for our simulator. In the next step, we want to add some UI elements into our scene and how we can use them to change the variables in runtime. Alright, in the last step, we talked about how we can create an AI for auto movement for our UGV. In this step, we want to talk about another important feature of Unity Engine and even the simulation or game design. It's called UI design or user interface, or in the common definition, the menu and the text of the simulator. Okay, for the better understanding, I want to create a new scene, and I put it an empty scene. Okay, and save it. It's inside of the scenes folder. It's called main menu. All right, as you can see, it is an empty scene without anything, so I will add a simple camera, and in here, as a component of camera, you can say clear flags, skybox, or solid color. At the background, you have nothing, but in the game tab, you will see the solid color as a background. For example, we say the gray for background. Okay, Control S for saving. Okay, for adding an UI element, we can have the list of them in the UI in the Game Objects tab. As you can see, we have several types of UI. Text. Look at this. It has been made as a child of Canvas. I will talk about this Canvas method and what is it exactly. Okay, I want to show you the different types of UI elements. First, text. Let's change the background to more than, okay, it's perfect. Another UI element is image, simple image, or raw image. In fact, they are the same in the content, but they have a technical difference. You can keep the raw image and remove the image, and also button. Once we click on anything, and also toggle for check on something, and slider, or we can make a loading with it or any other volume thing for our settings. And also the important one is I want to talk more about it is input field. Once we want to write something in here. Okay, let's make a main menu for our simulator. So I want to remove toggle and slider, then keep the raw image, text, button, and input field. Okay, initially we want to design a simple UI in our scene, and so we need to have a title. I rename it to title of page. I say main menu. Okay, in here we can add several fonts. In here we have only Arial font. You can add any other types of fonts, and font style, bold or italic, or bold and italic. I can keep it bold and increase the size. Perfect. And other types of information, alignment, and other things. Okay, I keep it the position of it of 0, 0, 0, but the positioning of UI it's different than the positioning of the object. The 0, 0, 0 position, or in another definition, the pivot of our object is the middle of our screen in the 2D area, because UI is a 2D object. So in here you can change your pivot. I don't want to talk about it right now, it's not necessary, but you can understand we can change our UI in here. Also in the scene tab we can see our UI something like this. It is our borders for our screen, and it is our UI element. Perfect. I put it the main camera, main menu in here, and we need to write something. For example, in here the character's name or user name, something like this. So put the button and your image in here, raw image in here, and put the input field as a middle of a screen, and we change it input username. In here you can see as a component it has image and input field. Image is for the background of it. You can change the color or the texture of the this background. You can put any image you want, and also in the input field you can add any information and any parameters of the input field. For example, it is the result text, it is the character limit. For example, we will write only 5 characters. Let's play the game, and we will see the results better than here. For example, we add character limits only 5. S. I cannot write anymore. Or something else, I cannot write anymore. Or in here I can say the content type is standard. We will say only the integer number. I cannot write any word. I can only write the numbers, but only 5. Change it to 0. Now I can write any number, but not letters or even the floating numbers. In here we can say only the password. So it will look like stars. And also the email address, it must has @ or .com or something else in pin. Look at this, only the numbers, not characters. Or other solutions. Look at this. Okay, keep it standard. And also single line, multi-line submit. I don't want to talk more about the each components. I want to talk more about the importance of the input field usage and the usability of this UI elements in our scene. Okay, let's stop the game and change the variables to 0 in here, and in here you can write a placeholder any text you want. In here it said enter text. I say enter username or enter your name. Alright, and once we play the scene and write anything we want, it has been removed and also came back. Okay, we can add any title for this part. For example, add a text UI, and we say as a child of this input username, we say user name. Okay, something like this. Perfect. Title. And what is this? It is the enter button. Enter ETN or enter button. We can change the text of it to enter. Also, we can change the width and height of this button. Look at this. Something like this or like this. Okay, it's perfect. I put this button in here. We can put our UI menu here and change to the alignment like this. Okay, now we can add an image to our scene. I've downloaded this robot image. We can add any transparent image or simple image, but if you want to use a transparent image, you need to click on your image and change the texture type from default to sprite, 2D and UI, and applied. Okay, now it has been changed to the UI image. Now click on write a raw image here and drag and drop your texture to the texture of raw image. Perfect. I put this raw image in here. Okay, now it's time to enter to the scripting of our main menu for define the behavior for each objects inside of our scene. For example, once we press on enter button, what will happen in our scene and in our UI? Okay, go to the scripts folder and create a C# script. I call it main menu. Okay, we have our simple C# script in here. Main menu, remove it and I want to call another library from the Unity engine and copy in here, and we say the child of it, UI. Perfect. Now I can have access to the variables of the canvas and all the UI elements in here. For example, public input field, input username. Okay, I want to once I press on enter, I want to have a variable. It's called public string of username. Once I press on button of enter, in the content of the input field will be the go to the username variable. So I want to define a specific public function. It's called any name I want, but it must be public. Public void enter button action, something like that, or enter my button action, any name you want, but the important thing is it must be public. Okay, now I say a username variable will be equal with the input username input field dot text. Okay, now Control S for saving our script. Alright, now we have our main menu script. We can attach this main menu script to any object we want, but I propose to attach this script to an object which is not related to our UI, because for example we cannot attach this to enter button. Maybe we want to remove it in the future, or I don't know, we want to deactivate, so it will have problem for us. So I propose to create an empty object. It's called menu manager, then attach this script to it. Okay, now drag and drop our input username to here. Okay, right now the content of input username will be go to the inside of usernames variable, but we our approach was it must be happen once we press on enter button. So we need to click on the enter button. Here in the component of enter of button, sorry, we have a new variable. It's called onClick. In here you can define what will happen once you click on your button. Okay, in here you need to press plus button. In here you will define your first action. You can define several actions in here. How we can define your actions? You need to call one of your functions from your scripts. For this case, I said you need to you have to define your function as a public, so in the inspector of Unity you can have access to that function. So you need to drag and drop your menu manager to here. Okay, now you can have access to all components attached to the menu manager object. The menu manager has transform, main menu, and in here you can see them. Game object, or it is the overall components of any object, transform, and main menu. In the main menu you can see all the important variables and also all the public functions. In here you can find it. Enter my button action. Okay, now once we press on enter button in the playing the scene, the content of the enter input field of the username will go to the username variable. Okay, we write Abulfazl, then press enter button. Okay, Abulfazl in here. and once again Abulfaz version 2, click on it, Abulfaz version 2. That's it. Okay, now we can define another parameter in our public text final name. Okay, we say the text will be look like this, the text, and we can edit from our UI in here, and we say final name and put it in here, I don't know, somewhere, and remove it for better understanding, or change the color of it and change the color to red. Okay, we say once we press on the enter button, and the name of the username will be go to the username variable, and also write this name here and the final name. So we will say final name dot text will be equal with username, semicolon. Now come back to the scene and compile our script. Go to the main menu manager. We have final name, and drag and drop final name in here, and save our scene and play the game. We write Abulfaz and enter. Perfect. Abulfaz in here. We write 2 2 1 3 4 5 1 2 2 3 4 5 1. Okay, we want to add some I don't know, static words behind or after our words. For example, we can add it with plus. We can add a plus before our character, our variable, if we want to write it before our variable, and double semicolon quotations. So it is our username, and in here another plus, double quotations, in our scene. Okay, come back to the scene and write it Abulfaz. Oh, because the size of this final name in here, you can increase it. I'll come back to the scene and change it. If you want to have access to this toolbar, in here you can see rect tool. You got this? In here you can change your scale, your width as well. The final name width right now is, I don't know, 500. Something like this. Control S. And in here I found another bug. We need to write a space here, and because we don't want to see the name of our variable exactly after before the I, so we need to have a space before in or our words. Okay, we write Abulfaz and enter. It is our username Abulfaz in our scene. That's it. Also, we can active and deactive these objects because they are still game object. So we can say in the first moment void start the file name dot game object dot setActive equal false, and after we press on we click on the enter object, we say username input username dot game object dot setActive equal false, and also we can call that button public button enter btn, and enter btn will be hide as well. Then file name dot setActive equal true. Okay, now drag and drop our enter btn to here. Okay, as you can see, at the first moment final name is disabled and input username and enter button it's active. So we write our name Abulfaz and enter. Okay, now input username and enter button have been disabled, and we can see only the final name. Okay, it is the basic definition of UI and how we can write scripting for UI. Now let's go to the our UGV scene for create a much more complicated UI and change some parameters of our scripts. Go to the level 2 in here. Okay, we can right now add a slider and we say speed volume, something like this, and add a text as a title of it. Title, and put it in here. As a slider, you can define the minimum value and maximum value of it. For example, 0 can be changed to 5 from no, the maximum can be any number, 10, I don't know, and the minimum will be 5. So you can change it in anywhere. It will be like this. And in the title, we can see the final number and the current value of this slider in here. Then we can say, okay, set the speed of the UGV with the value number. This parameter exactly. The speed movement will be equal with slider's value. And also we can add another UI text that's called distance. text, and we put it here. We can see the number of distance between the UGV and any destinations in here for better understanding the situation of our UGV mover. Okay. Come back to our auto movements script and call the using Unity engine .ui. Okay, and define public slider. What was that? Speed volume, and also public text slider title, and also public text distance text. Okay, it is very easy. So we can say distance text in here dot text equal, we can add a double quotation here, distance equal, and right now plus dist. So that's it. So we in here we will see distance equal the number of distance. In the UGV we have these parameters: distance text, slider volume, and title. Slider title. Okay. Now we can say let's check it first. Oh, the number of it is not set yet. I think we have a problem. Oh, we never saved it. Okay, excuse me. Okay, distance equal this one and this one. It is perfect. I changed the camera's view to here. I don't know. God. Now we can see better. All right. Okay. Now change the speed value position to here, for example. Then in here we can define another function exactly like the once we wanted to click on the button. In here, a slider has functionality for value changed. Once you change the slider and write any number you have selected by the slider. So, for example, if you have any change in your value, this function will be work. Okay, so first we need to write a function in here as a public void speed changes. Okay, and we can say slider a slider value. No, sorry, I selected the wrong one. The speed of movement will be equal speed volume dot value. After that, a slider title dot text will be equal speed equal plus speed movement. Now we can set with that one, and it is perfect. In the first moment of our scene start, we can set this number for better scene. And we can put our slider title in here. Okay, now change the slider volume from a minimum 0 to 10 or 15, and the default number of value can be any number. I put it on 8. Okay, let's do test. Look at this. It is speed equal 8. Okay, the final step is we need to define that function for once the value changed. Plus here UGV to here, and find out our functions, auto movement and speed change. Okay, now we can see the result in speed movement of here. Look at this. It is very slow and it is very fast. Speed movement is 15. Now change it very slow and fast and slow and fast. Perfect. Okay, it is our UI basic definition and programming. Let's go to the next step.